Hey there, hi there, ho there. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I don't know what time zone you're coming to us from, but this is the Drones at Dawn podcast, and we are so pleased to have you back. In America, this is our Independence Day observed, so happy 4th of July belated to everybody, and hopefully you're reaching out and hanging out with us with your coffee before you head to the beach or the barbecue today. For the rest of the world, again, great to see you, great to have you out there. This is not exactly a live stream, it is a webcast format, but the Q&A is live, so you can drop in your comments, your positive encouragement, your questions for Maggie and for me. Maggie, so let's talk about Maggie for a second. We are kicking off the month of July with a theme of education, training, and workforce development in the drone industry. And we are so pleased to have with us Maggie Shuster. She's coming at us from Amarillo, Texas today in her backyard.
Actually, my front porch, so it's
Oh,
going to be a little loud. Once in a while, there's cars.
all right.
Yeah, thank
So,
you.
so
I was
Maggie is here
excited.
with us. If you don't know Maggie, you will after today, and keep your eyes open because she is out and about. Maggie is involved in the North Central Texas Council of Governments, and we'll talk about that. She is helping to lead the Know Before You Fly Your Drone workshop and even writing a book. So there's so much we're going to cover. And welcome, Maggie. So great to have you on the podcast.
I'm very excited. And I think this is ironic that we're doing it around the 4th of July about being independent, because one of the biggest things is number one, being independent. It doesn't say be independent if you're a woman, be independent if you're a man, be independent if you're a child, or it's for everyone. And that's what I love about UAS and flying drones. This industry is about everyone. So I love it. I'm so excited.
No, that's great, and you're absolutely right. I mean, in fact, I have an interview after this with a group in South Africa that's putting some research together, and they asked me that question. What about the UAS industry do you see for the future? And I said it's going to change society because it's such an equalizer. Like it doesn't matter where you come from in the world, what your economic class is. If you can get your hands on a drone, it doesn't cost a lot of money. Even if you're especially abled, right? Because we had our diversity, equity, inclusion month, neurodiversity, right? Everybody can use drones and can make such a difference. So anyway, Maggie, you are such an advocate for this industry. And let me ask you then, where did it all begin for you? How did you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got into drones?
Just real quick, I come from Chicago. I come from a huge family of 8 kids. And so if I wanted to go to school, I had to be inventive and think of a way of going to school. So I got a scholarship running all the special events, the movies, any kind of film or concerts or activities that were on campus. I ran them, and it was, believe it or not, I even met Oprah Winfrey. I hired her to speak at one of my engagements. So when I got out of school, I wasn't really sure what I was doing. I was fundraising, I was working for nonprofits. I moved I've always been wanting to help people. So long story short, one of the positions I took after that is a catastrophic adjuster. And I would go out when there were horrible storms, and I'd have to, as an insurance adjuster, give them an estimate of a home. And you know how hard that is when somebody loses their home and you're saying, here's a check and this is what your home is worth. This is what your life is worth. It's really difficult. Well, one day I had one of the adjusters show me, look at these drones. Look what they can do. You don't even have to climb the roof, which if you guys know the liability of just climbing up a roof, let alone making more damage and so forth. And I was just blown away that this machine could actually fly up, do a fair enough assessment of the damage to alert and say, yes, this roof looks like there's damage. Go ahead and send out a roofing adjuster to go out there, a roofing company, whatever. You know how it goes when there's a hailstorm or a tornado or a flooding or whatever like that. you don't have to be the one to go. You just have to make the initiative that it is damaged and it's worth looking into. So anyway, I was blown away with that. And the first drone, I went out to a 2-week, a 2-day session to learn all about drones. This was a private sector because at the time, insurance company wasn't embracing the idea of drones yet. So I learned it, loved it. Then all of a sudden I had like a whole new world. Have you ever gone skydiving, or better yet, have you ever gone underneath the water? And for the first time, it's just steps away, but you never knew how amazing under the sea was. That's how I felt with the drone. I
That's
loved
so
it.
cool.
I was hooked.
So,
Yeah.
since we're talking about education and training and workforce development, you took that initiative to go out and get, I assume, your Part 107 license. Is that correct? Back what you
I am 107. That's what I did. After that 2-day session, by the way, I was one out of 300 men that were there. And I
the
picked
only
my
one.
name, your area, the 2-day introduction to drones, 300 men. I was the only woman at that time. I picked the name of my company, Your Aerial View. I found out where I could buy a used drone. And on my way back, because it was in Houston and I was in Dallas, I drove to my friend's vineyards and started shooting. And then took my 107. 3 weeks after that, took my 107. Never knew anything about aviation, by the way. Just really studied, and I took it. And I barely passed it, but I passed.
Yeah, and so, for those of you that are following me on Clubhouse, Maggie is my partner in crime, for lack of a better term. Maggie's the one that inspired me to get onto Clubhouse. She gave me the tutorial on what to do, how to navigate it, and she co-leads my Drone Law Connections Club. And Maggie actually was our guest speaker last Thursday. And I think, Maggie, if I recall correctly, you said that vintage, the footage you took over the vineyard, or you went back and reshot it, that's going to be on PBS, or that's going to.
It is, yeah. It's on PBS right now. It highlights the vineyard and the way that it's working. And the producer was so blown away with the footage that I did. And by the way, I did outside, inside. I did twilight, so you could actually see, because grapes are harvested at night, and they have this big compound that collects and it's so neat. It collects the grapes, and there's an opening up on the top. I got a shot of right above the compound where it was collecting the grapes. It's a really good scene. Then I also filmed the actual production of the bottling system, all with my Phantom 4. That's what I had at the time. I didn't have the Phantom 4 Pro. It was my Phantom 4, and I learned a lot. I really did, and still today they use that footage.
Wow, that's amazing. And then somewhere along the way, you got involved with the North Central Texas Council of Governments. First of all, tell us a little bit about what that, and there's a UAS task force specifically, I believe, that
Right.
you're involved in with Ernest Huffman. And we had Ornanda White on here back in March talking about Black Girls Drone, and I know she's involved in that organization, as are you. Tell us a little bit about this UAS task force with the North Central Texas Council of Governments, what it is, and how you got involved.
Sure. Well, the North Central Texas Council of Governments is a regional. It's got 15 regions in the North Texas area, and the conglomerate is of government entities. That's federal, state, local, down to municipalities. And then it's also educational institutes. It's general industry, and we're focusing on UAS industry. Now, don't think, don't think that just because it's a company, that means we have to build drones. No, we're talking about companies that are concerned about air traffic control, so the airports in that area. We're talking about the organization workforce, because they're wanting to fill jobs. So the workforce is with us. We're talking about K through high school and then beyond, technical schools and universities. They're in with us. And then just educational, maybe not working with the schools themselves, but they have an educational program that will help students learn UAS, learn drones, learn techniques, learn coding. And then there's other, transportation is a big thing, because integration, having drones, flying machines in the air and then landing, that's all about integration. So that's really important, roads and roads and airways and such. So I got involved obviously because my background is, again, insurance. And I wanted to know, how do I utilize drones? How do I help so that I can do more assessments and do them safely, save money? And believe it or not, that could actually go in the pockets back to our community. So that's how it started. 3 years ago, they decided to put this, Ernest Huffman's boss decided, hey, we need to put something together. Ernest works on the aviation department. The first time I went, there were maybe 25 of us. And then it was once a month. And every month it grew and it grew and it grew. And it's up to over 300 people. We meet once a month. At first we were meeting directly, at the COG office, which was great. They did record it, so you can go back and see some of the presenters. It opened up basically about, hey, this is what we're doing here in the community. This is what we need. These are some problems that we have in the community. This is what we need to, sorry, like battery is running low. This is what we need to run. Can I plug this in really quick? Because she says all of a sudden she's.
Let me just explain to our audience out there. I actually spoke in January. They invite, I think, 2 to 3 guest speakers every month. I spoke on the new remote ID rule at the time and the operation people over moving vehicles in at night rule. And I was surprised to see the number of people. I think it was a live event at the time. I feel like there was like well over 130 people dialed into the Zoom. You're right, it was recorded. And I mean, big companies like Bell, people that are making eVTOL aircraft and things like this. I mean, it was really impressive. And, when people ask me, Maggie, about the United States and who's on the leaderboard when it comes to the states and what they're doing, I have to, Texas, I mean, you guys have put yourself on the map with this Council of Governments and UAS Task Force, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, there's nothing that we're aware of that has this kind of collaboration.
Not like it. I mean, in Colorado, we have, we're calling, I think the name might be in flux, but this Aerospace Alley concept that embraces, all of it, air, space, and drones. And there's an education committee that I'm involved in, but it's very localized. It's not open right now to the rest of the nation like yours is, because you have people dialing in from all over the place. And so
Africa, England, California.
Yeah, because I remember, I think when I spoke, a gentleman from True Weather was on right before me talking about how weather impacts operations and kind of some of the technologies they put together. So that's relevant to everybody. And that's what I'm trying to do with UAS Colorado with some of the training we're doing as well. But,
and it's a good resource too, because not only do we record them, but we have all the contacts of the speakers. So if you see something that, wow, this is exactly what we were talking about, you'd have the name, you'd have the contact, and you'd have, the basic information of what they're working on right now.
Yeah, so it's this amazing coalition that you've built out there in Texas, and you're a part of that. In fact, you, through that group, applied for a grant. Since we're on this topic of education, training, and workforce development, you applied for a grant, a local grant, to my understanding, in Texas. And you're now putting on this Know Before You Fly Your Drone workshop. So tell us a little bit about the workshop, how that came about, and what your goal is with that.
So after the initiative of the UAS task force, safety and integration conference that we were talking about meets once a month, Ernest decided to break it into working groups, 4 different working groups. One of them being public relations and public awareness and education. The other one is training, and another one is laws and regulations. And then the 4th one is integration. And I am the chair for public awareness and education. And we were talking about basically getting a probably the main task is it's educating the public, whether they're aware of UAS, of drones or not. We needed to have an outreach program where we're talking about it. We're telling everybody about it. And if you are going to fly, these are the responsibilities. You need to be a responsible flyer. If you need help taking the test for the 107, and actually defining what that meant. In other words, if you're just flying around for fun, no, you don't necessarily have to take the 107. But if you're flying around and taking pictures and then putting them on the internet and then getting money for them some way or somehow, yeah, you need a 107.
And now you need, now if you're recreational, you need the trust test as well. So that's, for everybody out there, that's kind of a newer development. It looks like we may have lost Maggie. Hopefully she can dial in. So, you know, it's always fun on Zoom. You never know what's going to happen. But I'll keep talking, and I see a couple people out there in the audience would love to get some questions if you've got any, because we had Maggie on Clubhouse on Thursday, and I know pretty much what she's going to say, and I'm happy to jump in here. But for those that aren't tracking the Know Before You Fly Your Drone workshop, the next one is actually going to be this, let me look at my calendar here, this coming Saturday, actually, July 10th. Follow me on LinkedIn if you haven't been doing that. I've been posting up information about it. I believe it starts at 9 a.m. Mountain, which is 10 a.m. Central. You do have to register through Eventbrite. But this one's going to be on drone inspections, which is right up Maggie's alley. As you may have heard, she started out, was inspired to become a drone pilot due to the insurance inspections that she thought it would be useful for. So they've got some great speakers on Saturday, and if you've got the time, dial in. That's going to be amazing. But they've been doing that every month, and they continue to do it. One of the things they did was actually applied for a grant, as I kind of alluded to when I asked Maggie this question. And I'm going to turn my phone on just in case she texts me, because we'll see how that goes. But yeah, she applied for a grant, and you know, finding, you know, this is about education, training, workforce development. There is money out there. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, you know, educational you know, institutions, they don't have, especially public ones, don't have a lot of money. What I will say to you is that there is money for the taking. You just have to find it. And in her case, there was a local Texas grant specifically written for drones and drone education that they found and you know, applied for successfully. And I believe the competition was pretty fierce. But on the federal side, there's always, you know, broad area announcements and research opportunities with drones that can also oftentimes have an education or public or community acceptance component to it, like NASA's National Challenge for Advanced Air Mobility. You check those out at sam.gov. And likewise, sam.gov, you know, Google, put in there Air Force, or just put in the word unmanned, just put in unmanned, and you're going to get a bunch of things popping up, some of which might be something relevant that you could apply for. Let's see. So hopefully Maggie can come back to us. Not sure what happened to her, but what I will also tell you is that she is, in fact, here she comes. Yay. Maggie, I've been doing a lot of talking while you've been gone. So while you're connecting to the audio, and just give me a thumbs up when you can hear, because we can't hear you yet. Okay. everybody out there, Maggie is actually working on a book, and it's going to be highlighting women in drones, and that I know is something Maggie is very passionate about, as am I. We are both members of Women in Drones.
There
And
we go.
yay.
Can you
Okay,
hear me?
we can hear you. We lost your face. Yep, but just keep talking, and we'll just go from there. Hopefully, we can get the video going back. But if
And
not,
I'm so sorry, it just went out.
that's okay. We can see you now. So Maggie, I want to talk
So
to you
broke
about.
it up in 3 working groups.
Okay, go ahead. We kind of moved on to, I filled them in about Know Before You Fly, and the event on Saturday,
Great, thank
and to register, etc. But I wanted to talk about the book you're putting together. Tell me about what this book is and what your inspiration for it was.
Well, I think the awareness, the very first day that when I went to that workshop, and I was the only woman there out of 300 men, and I really felt like did and
Yeah, you are breaking up pretty badly.
something along
Go ahead.
was
So I know the.
we talked about. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Can you
That's
hear me now,
okay.
John?
Yeah, we can hear, one thing you can do also is you can drop some stuff in the chat, but or in the Q&A, possibly. I don't know if you can do that if there's no question. But so tell us about the book. You said you were inspired because when you went to your first initial training to learn about drones, you were the sole woman of 300 men in the room, and so now you're writing a book. So what's the title, or what's the theme of this book, and what is it going to be about?
The name of the book is Girls Can Fly Drones Too. And it's an anthology book where I'm focusing on women, all different backgrounds, colors, just even what they're using drones for, to inspire women, to inspire young women, girls, youth, just to embrace this, not only to embrace it, but to enjoy it. And the difference between what's out there now is there's a lot of technical things about how to use this drone, and all these different sensors and all these different drones, and that, encouraging, opening the door to have this is over my head. This just looks way too hard. And I want to make this book to look like this looks like the funnest, the easiest thing I can do. And that's how we go
Yeah.
down. I mean, you know how important.
Yep, I think we're getting about almost every other word at this point, Maggie. And we just lost video again, but I'm going to jump in here and talk a little bit about, if you want to reach Maggie, you need to follow her on LinkedIn. You need to go on Clubhouse. You need to follow her there. She is seeking inputs to her book, so reach out to her if you've got something. And, I think what I want to foot stomp here is this book is not just to inspire women and girls, it's also to inspire boys and men, because, we talk a lot about this concept, if you can see me, you can be me. Well, if you can see her, then she can be her too. And that's equally, if not more important, because obviously men dominate this field, this industry, and having that awareness and having men be advocates and allies. Let me give you a great example. Mike Hirschberg, who is the executive director of the Virtual Flight Society, or the Vertical Flight Society, just put out a great commentary on evtolinsights.com. And if you haven't seen it, I commend it to your attention. But he talks about this talent crisis that the advanced air mobility career field is going to be facing. and the incredible lack of diversity in the career. So he says there's only, let's see, 11.3% of aerospace engineers are Asian Americans. Black engineers, only 6% of the workforce versus 12% of the population. Hispanic, 1.5%. And then he talks about if we don't, not just women, but again, racial diversity, if we don't pay attention to this and inspire people to want to be in this ecosystem, then we're going to have a serious crisis on our hands. So check out Mike Hirschberg's commentary, Vertical Flight Society on eVTOL Insights. Really great stuff. As Maggie, it looks like she's trying to dial back in. Apologize for all the challenges here today. Let's see. I think we're getting close to the end here anyway. So what I'll tell everybody is this Thursday on Clubhouse, we're going to have with us Josh Olds from the Unmanned Safety Institute, USI. And if you want to learn about training and education and inspiring the workforce, Josh is also the guy to hear from. So he's going to be amazing. And he'll be on this podcast next Monday as well. So dial in for that, hear more from Josh. And Maggie, just in our couple minutes, do you have anything else you wanted to add before we dial off today? You're muted.
Please join Don and I every Thursday on Clubhouse. And if you don't have a Clubhouse membership, just reach out to me and I will be happy to send you an invite. And then Girls in STEM. And then periodically I have a meeting on the Girls Can Fly Drones Too. And then Nettie Davis and I do a lot of different kinds. Every week we bring on a different subject. We talk specifically about, what's going on in the drone world. If there's cases coming up, if there's a new, again, it's really important that we are approachable and we don't talk over somebody's head. We're not so geeky that you're just like, oh my God, this is just for the nerds. Well, I guess I am a nerd now, but no questions dumb is what I'm trying to say. So please join us. We really are a community there. So thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Maggie is the Clubhouse maven, so definitely join Clubhouse, follow her, join us on Drone Law Connections every Thursday at 11 a.m. Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to get involved in the North Central Texas Council of Governments monthly meetings, reach out to Maggie. She can hook you up with that, as well as the Know Before You Fly Your Drone workshop. Dial in this Saturday and monthly thereafter. Great stuff. Again, this Saturday is on inspections. So, all right. I think that's
it's going to be a good one. Thank you so much.
Yep. All right. Out here. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great